information this morning about the New Orleans terrorist attacker. I don't want to say his name. Do you?
I don't.
We don't need to say his name.
Nope.
No. But according to the FBI on the ground, do you trust the FBI? Well, they said that he used meta glasses to scope out the area 2 times prior to the New Year's Eve attack.
Meta glasses appear to look like regular glasses, but they allow a user to record videos and photos hand-free.
Where were the glasses recovered, and did Jabbar wear them during the entire timeline of the attack?
The glasses were recovered on the person of Jabbar, and we believe he was wearing them throughout the evening.
And he was recording the entire time?
So we don't have any indication that he was actually recording, but he was wearing those glasses.
I mean, can you imagine if he broadcast that live?
Yeah.
Facebook Live or Meta Live, that would have been just, I mean, it was horrific as it was. 14 innocent Americans killed. A clear jihadist. We're learning, too, that he posted 5 videos on his Facebook account proclaiming his support for ISIS. He joined ISIS before the summer, and he provided a will and testimony. But Jabbar,
did they say how he joined ISIS?
No, but we're going to get to that with Scott McKay, our guest. But they also said he served in the Army for 10 years and was deployed to Afghanistan in 2009. He had a real estate license that he let expire in 2023. So, I mean, the only reason why I want to learn more about him is to prevent this from happening again. But the FBI, I think, dropped the ball. And that's because Biden says our biggest threat is not terrorists. What was it?
White supremacy.
Yeah.
According to the intelligence community, terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today. Not ISIS, not Al-Qaeda, white supremacists. According to the United States intelligence community, domestic terrorism from white supremacists is the most lethal terrorist threat in the homeland. The most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
With more on this, let's welcome back to the program Scott McKay, publisher of the Hayride and senior editor at the American Spectator, and also author of Racism, Revenge, and Ruin, and King of the Jungle. Good morning, Mr. McKay. How are you?
Hey, Amy, how's it going? Hey, I've got a new book that I'm going to put out soon. I haven't started writing it yet, but I'll be done by the end of the week. It's the catalog of all the white supremacist terrorist attacks in the United States.
Yeah, that's right. So they were off the mark. Again, that was just an attempt to attack Trump and all of his supporters, something else that failed. But the FBI, how did they drop the ball on this one?
How long you got? They bring Agent Nosering out at the very beginning of this to say that it wasn't terrorism, and then they say that Jabbar acted alone when all of the evidence points to somebody set this whole thing up for him. He might have been the lone attacker here, but he clearly had help. So, I mean, I don't know how much confidence it inspires when you say, oh, yeah, we think this guy acted alone. I mean, how did he get the explosives? Who crafted the plan? This guy did this whole thing by himself. If he's that seasoned and competent a terrorist, my question is this. Why was he driving around New Orleans making Facebook videos while the crowd on Bourbon Street was petering out? Because at 3:15 in the morning, when he decided to hit the gas, he didn't really hit the gas. It was an EV truck that he was driving. But when he hit the accelerator pedal, the street was largely empty.
Right.
3 hours, 4 hours before that, it would have been a sea of humanity, the whole street would have been like a crowded nightclub. And those people would not have been able to dodge out of the way of the truck. He could have killed 1,500 people instead of 15.
Well, and also, too, why would they say it wasn't an ISIS attack when there was an ISIS flag in the back of the truck?
It's like a wannabe ISIS attack, in that interpretation. But it's still ISIS-inspired. I mean, and of course that's a political narrative. filtering the FBI statements. You're not supposed to call things ISIS because that means we have to do something about it. Whereas if it's just a lone nut, then, you shrug your shoulders and say, oh, well, and everybody can come back to New Orleans for the Super Bowl because we're all good. Which is
the
what
barriers
the
in place
that
now.
run New Orleans want. So, it's what's the old saying? A lie agreed upon. And I think that's kind of what we have here. I thought it was interesting that the FBI brought, they had the millennial black chick who said it wasn't terrorism and then said, well, we don't think he acted alone. And then they bring in the balding white guy from D.C. in his nice suit who says, oh, no, he acted alone. Because maybe y'all will believe that. You won't believe anything Agent Nosering says anymore.
Agent Nosering.
And so, this whole thing is just, it just points out how utterly obvious it is to get these people out of office on January 20th and clean the slate as much as possible. Look, the city leadership in New Orleans is utterly dysfunctional, has been utterly dysfunctional for a long time. They had anti-vehicle barriers that they could have installed on the sidewalk at Canal Street and Bourbon. They didn't. The police chief, who's like a year and a half into that job, was fired as the police chief in Oakland prior to that. And, she's like, oh, I didn't know we had those in our stocks. Maybe that's not all her fault because she's got incompetent people below her who didn't give her an accurate inventory of what the city of New Orleans actually had. But maybe you want to find out, and apparently she wasn't all that curious. So, this should be the end of Ann Kirkpatrick. We're going to see the end of LaToya Cantrell this fall. None of the people talking about running for mayor of New Orleans are even as good as she is in terms of inspiring confidence in their leadership. And, of course, they're all committed socialists as well. So, strategically, in one respect, New Orleans is a perfect place to do a terrorist attack because the local leadership can't stop you. They can't stop anything.
Well, what do we know about the mosque that he belonged to? We know that he was born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, but he belonged to a mosque in Houston. And they put out a statement right away saying, don't talk to the FBI and don't talk to the media.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know that much about this mosque. I've talked to a friend of mine who's at the Center for Security Policy. He tells me it's a bad mosque, that it's part of the Islamic Society of North America, which is like basically a Hamas front organization, which, explains why they wanted all communiques directed through CARE, because CARE is also a Hamas front. So, that connection is there. It's kind of, the mosque is like in basically a trailer park where everybody's a Muslim, apparently. And this guy's place, he had goats and chickens hanging around. And the timeline is strange because not long ago, and I didn't see anything where he was separated from the job. Not long ago, this guy had a job with Deloitte making like $120K a year.
Oh, wow.
So what's he doing in a trailer? I mean, $120K a year in Houston? Like, Houston is one of the most affordable places to live in America. They've got so much, available housing there that, or at least they did until the place filled up with illegals, that, you don't have to live in a trailer in Houston if you make $120K a year. So it's weird.
Unless it's nefarious.
And they're saying that he scoped out the area 2 times prior, but they're also looking into his visits to Egypt and to Canada.
Mm.
Well, apparently Canada is a place where all kinds of bad things happen now. So that makes sense. The interesting thing is, this guy is, our immediate reaction, like all of us, was, you see, this is what happens when your border is open. But apparently this guy's family, these people are Americans.
Right.
And his father, I think his father's original name was like Masterson Young. And he changed his name to Akeem Abdul-Jabbar or something. Like I guess he's pretty close to a Lakers fan or something, but and converted to Islam. And I don't know, this guy was raised in a jihadist household or something, and then decided to get straight, but like when he was in the Army, he got reported up the chain of command because he said jihadist things. And I don't know if it went into remission or what, but all of a sudden a year ago, now he's radicalized again and he wants to join ISIS.
Yeah. Hey, Scott, before I get to my question, it's a very good text on the 312 text line from a 253 area code. Can you imagine the media if it was a Nazi flag? Every single picture would have had that flag flowing, but they folded up and covered up the flag.
Oh, so that nobody would see it.
So nobody could see it. That's a very, 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 very good point. But where did the initial reports come from that the truck was seen in Mexico or it came across the border? Where did those reports come from?
I don't know. I mean, that was everywhere, and then it was nowhere.
Nowhere.
So I don't know if that was some kind of bad reporting that went up the chain, but I didn't really actually see an official FBI release on that or anything. So I don't know if that was Fox News got it wrong, or somebody tipped them off and they ran with it, and then when they started vetting that information, that it was a dead end. I really don't know. I mean, what's suspicious enough is this app that he rented the truck from.
Turo.
Which Turo is the same app that the guy the Cybertruck guy in Vegas did. This is my question. Who in their right mind would put a $65,000 Ford Lightning truck or an $80,000 Cybertruck on a rental app where you never meet the person renting your car?
Oh, there are more luxury cars. Wait. There are way more expensive luxury cars on this app.
On that app?
Oh yeah. You can rent some very luxury cars on this app.
High-end
Who
cars.
would do that? Like, I mean, all of the things that you can use a rental car for, or a car for that, would make the owner of that car liable legally, whether they use it in a robbery or, like any of this kind of stuff. You would like your beater car you wouldn't put up for a rental sight unseen like that.
Yeah.
So back to this guy, though. He was divorced twice, served in the Army for 10 years. Do you think this is a fifth column action? Like he knew he was going to attack or commit a terrorist attack at some point in time, but joined the Army to figure out how it all works? I mean, I cannot wrap my head around this guy.
Well, I mean, the thing I can't wrap my head around is why does he go at 3:15?
Yeah.
Like I don't like it makes no sense to me. It's like at 1:30, 2 o'clock, everybody kind of starts petering out on Bourbon Street. Like they've been at it since 6 in the evening.
Right, because you're from New Orleans, right?
Yeah, I grew up in New Orleans. I've been on Bourbon Street New Year's Eve. You can't even hardly move on Bourbon Street at 11:30, 12 o'clock on New Year's Eve. Okay. I don't want to give, advice to terrorists, but if you're going to do maximum damage, that's when you go. And this guy was making Facebook videos that whole time. And then at 3:15 he goes when, you can see it on video. People see that truck coming and they dive out of the way.
Yeah.
Wait, Scott. It's so funny that Facebook will dox you and basically flag your post, but they didn't flag that right away. Come on, man.
I mean, this is one of the most videoed terrorist events ever.
Yeah.
But like the thing but that being the case, and you knew it was going to be the most videoed terrorist attack ever, but like if this guy was anything even remotely close to a competent terrorist, he'd have gone at 11:45.
Yeah.
Not 3:15. I mean, like that's so basic and obvious. He scopes the scene out, all this stuff. Like, if you scope the scene out, Bourbon Street is best around midnight for this. And yet he doesn't do it. What that suggests to me with all these other elements of this plan, the Airbnb catching on fire at 5 in the morning and all of the rest of this, Like, this was a pretty well-crafted plan. And yet, seems to me it was botched, which tells me somebody else crafted the plan, and that's the guy we need to go get.
Did you see the video of the other angle? It was like the video was following his truck. I mean, who was that person? Who took that? Because there's an angle that shows it. I don't know if they're in a cafeteria or a cafe or something, but there's a video that's out there. I saw it on Twitter. It follows the truck, and then you see him make that very hard
you
right.
mean when he turns off a Canal Street?
Who's that
it was
person?
weird because it's like, why are you following this white truck?
Yeah.
Like, who cares about a white truck until it turns on Bourbon?
That's interesting.
Yeah, that is kind of suspicious, and I'd love to hear an explanation for that because that video is everywhere.
Yeah, it is.
All right, Scott McKay, we're going to have to leave it there for today. Publisher of Hayride and senior editor at the American Spectator. Scott, always a privilege to have you on, and thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, guys. Happy New Year.
Yep, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
As we near the end of the year, many families in Latin America and the Caribbean are struggling just to get by.